Hi, I'm Joseph Warren, and behind every startup is a great entrepreneur with a story to tell. How do you go from posting an ad on Craigslist to building a widely successful service business and at the same time creating tons of jobs for students? Joining me from Gainesville, Florida is Kristen Hadid, founder of Student Maid. She began a one-woman cleaning service when she was a junior at the University of Florida. 2 years later, she has upwards of 200 employees during the summer, all of whom are students with at least a 3.5 GPA, and we'll find out why that is. She's won honors and awards such as 13 going on 30, and her business was named Leading Women's Enterprise at Gainesville Business of the Year Awards. She's been featured in ABC News, Extreme Makeover, and others. So I've invited her here to share how she built this business and to talk about what she's currently working on. Kristen, thanks for doing this interview.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, awesome. So I'd like to start with some really basic questions. First of which is, where did you grow up?
Okay, actually I was born in Gainesville, and when I was 2 years old, we moved to Flagler Beach. Okay. So I grew up on the beach, and then I came back to Gainesville for college.
Okay, awesome. And paint us a picture of your childhood, because that's always fantastic to hear kind of the younger days, right?
Yeah. Well, I have one younger sister, and we were very close in age. We're only 18 months apart, so we were always together. My dad is an attorney. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, really spent a lot of time with us. So when thinking back, we just always had fun. And my sister and I always had some project we were working on. We actually had some businesses when we were younger.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me, it was like a lemonade stand, or was it something more unique?
We had a lemonade stand.
You did.
We did. And then my dad actually built us a wooden storefront. I mean, it was like a wooden stand. And we called it LK Variety Store, because her name is Lauren, my name's Kristen. Mm-hmm. And we sold things from our home. And so we got shut down. We sold something very valuable in our house for like $2. So our parents shut us down. We had a bead threading business. And then we also tried to start a babysitting business, but nobody would hire us because we were like 12 years old trying to babysit. So it wasn't successful.
Are you willing to share what it is that you sold of your parents that shut your business down?
It was a vase.
Oh my gosh. Was it like a famous one or something?
It would have been in the family for a while.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So let me ask you this. What did you want to be when you grew up? Do you remember?
Yeah, I always wanted to be a lawyer. And I think because my dad was a lawyer, I always looked up to my dad, and I always helped my dad in his work. And so that's what I really wanted to be, but now I couldn't imagine being a lawyer. It's the last thing on earth I want to do.
Why?
I don't know. It's not my style. I mean, I love what I'm doing. I love business, and I don't think I would enjoy being a lawyer.
I understand that completely.
Yeah.
So your entrepreneurial story started all because of a very expensive pair of jeans, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that story, if you would.
Sure. So I was in college, didn't have a job, and wanted these jeans. And so I asked my parents to buy them for me, and they said, absolutely not, you need to get a job. So my classes were pretty tough. I was a finance major. I thought, what is something I can do that'll make some money? And I don't know what it is with me, but my entire life, I could never bring myself to get a job. I would make it to the interview, and then I would freak out and just either not go to the interview or say, I'm not interested in this position anymore, because I just couldn't tying myself down to a job. And so it didn't even cross my mind to go out and get a job. I just thought, what can I do to make some money? So I put an ad on Craigslist to clean houses, and that's how it started.
Wow. Now, where do you think that comes from, that inner, intuition, that voice in your head that, like, intellectually, you're saying, I'm going to go get a job, even though I really don't want to, but you set up the steps, you set up an interview, you're about to follow through, and then all of a sudden, we do, like, these self-sabotage things where we don't show up, or something like that. Where does that voice come from for you? Do you know?
I think for me, it's, I'm constantly looking at ways to improve things and to do things better than they may be at the moment. So I just have trouble working for somebody because I might do things a lot differently. And so with my dad, that's something I learned, is that I do things very differently from my dad. And we worked well together, but it's hard to find somebody that you can work well with. And so I always wanted to create something for myself.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so what prompted you to turn this into a real business? You put the ad in the paper.
Right. So I put it out on Craigslist, started cleaning houses, did it by myself for a while, just after class and before class, and then it got to be a lot of work, so I hired a few of my girlfriends, and we did it for a little while, and then I realized, okay, I can step back, I don't have to necessarily do the cleaning, I can just kind of step back and manage everything, so I did that, but the turning point came right before my last year in college. A property manager approached me about cleaning some empty apartments.
Now, was this Paradigm Properties?
Properties, yes,
Okay.
and they have 24 apartment complexes in Gainesville, so it was a huge opportunity. And to do it, I needed to have a lot of people, and so I remember going to my parents and telling them about this idea, and they thought it was absolutely crazy. They said, "No way, you're in school, this is, you need to focus on school, maybe after graduation, and plus, do you really want to own a maid service?" And so, but they saw I was really passionate about my idea. So I went to the bank to get a loan. I was turned down because of my age.
How old were you right now?
I think I was 20.
Okay.
But it just made me want to work even harder. So I left the bank, wrote a business plan, came back. They ended up giving me a loan.
What was different?
I'm sorry, what?
What was different? Why did they approve you this time? Was it just the document, the business plan, or?
I think they wanted to see that I really thought about my idea and that I was serious about it, and I think because of my age, I was so young, and so coming back with that, I think showed them that this is something I'm really serious about, and so they gave me a loan. It wasn't much; it was only about $10,000, and so that gave me enough to buy the supplies that I needed at first, and so I had to hire a ton of people. So I knew I wanted to work with students because I was a student. I thought it'd be easier to communicate and relate to them.
Sure.
And because I didn't have a lot of time, I made the 3.5 GPA requirement. And I thought it would weed people out.
Oh, okay.
So I thought, 3.5 GPA, you're probably responsible and hardworking, and you're going to show up on time. So I made that requirement, and I hired about 60 students in a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is an insane story because it's overnight adapting to massive change, not gradual change, but massive change.
Yeah.
Were you scared? And be transparent. Were you scared?
Well, I was scared because I thought, I think one of the smartest things my parents did was they made me financially responsible. They probably could have easily lended me the money to start the business, but because I was responsible financially, that of course at 20, it's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me just want to do it even more, And then the fact that you have 60 people relying on you for a paycheck, it's a little bit of pressure, a little scary, especially for a 20-year-old. So yeah, I was a little scared, but I would say I was more excited than scared.
It's like this nervous excitement,
it's like
right?
Adrenaline rush or something.
Exactly.
Every day.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Now, describe what it was like going from 4 to 60 people, overnight within a month.
Yeah, it was definitely hard. It was hard because not only am I new to running a business, but I'm new to being a boss and a manager and a leader. So, some of the students that I had hired were older than me. So trying to create that authority, I guess, but at the same time being somebody that's relatable, that they respect and, have fun working for. And that was, for me, the hardest balance. But I just, with trial and error, I mean, you learn what works and what doesn't work, and then, you make changes as you go. So the whole process was fun and learned a lot, and but definitely shocking to go from 4 to 60.
Absolutely. Now, were you doing? I'm guessing you're doing a ton of interviews during this little short period. What were those interviews like? Like, did you have these older students coming in, and rather than you qualifying them, they kind of turn it on you and they start qualifying you, kind of like, why should I work here? What are you going to give me? Those types of things. Did that ever happen?
No, I started doing individual interviews, and then I thought, man, there's no way I'm going to find 60 people doing it this way. It's going to take forever. So I started doing group interviews.
Yeah.
And, I just tried to find out, because to be at the interview, they had to have the GPA requirement. So I already knew they had the 3.5. So instead of finding out about, their work ethic, because I figured they already have a good work ethic to be in that category, just kind of trying to find out who they are, what kind of management style do they like. Because for me, I'm very go with the flow, happy-go-lucky, and I don't mesh well with people who are very matter-of-fact, and it has to be, go ABC. We're very, in our culture in this company is we just learn as we go. And, and so I have to make sure that everybody likes that management style, because that doesn't fit everybody. So that's mainly what I was trying to figure out in the interviews.
Okay.
Especially because I didn't really know what I was doing, so I thought, hopefully these people can, go with the flow, because I don't really know what I'm doing either.
Fair enough. Okay, now you get going. How do you position Student Maid in the market to be successful?
Well, so the way that it works, so I had these 60 students, and I was very naive. I just assumed that we had all this work with these apartment complexes.
Okay.
And there was a meeting right before the contract was supposed to start.
Sure.
And then I show up, and there are tons of other cleaning companies in the room.
Oh, no.
And all the property managers were there, and you had to go to each one and convince them to use your service. So I was the youngest in the room. Definitely, I was actually one of the only females. So it was intimidating, and I had never even done a move-out cleaning before. But all these companies had, years of experience. So
what do you say? What
I just remember thinking, be confident and sell the idea, because the whole point is we have a group of hardworking students. We're fast, we're young, we're energetic. So I tried to sell that part of it. But at the same time, I was very honest and said, this is our first season doing this, and if you would like, we could do a discounted rate on the first few, so you can make sure you like us before you commit to us. So that worked, and we ended up working with 9 of the 24 that first summer.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent. You overcame some big obstacles there of minimizing risk for them, right?
Yes. So, that was about a 3-week period, and at the beginning, I never thought I would have a cleaning service, this big cleaning service. I just thought, this is a way to make some money this summer, and then it will be done.
Sure.
But when the contract ended, I had 60 students that were just like, what do you mean this is it? We still have to pay our rent, and can we keep working here? And so my last year in college, I just continued to look for residential cleaning jobs and commercial jobs, and it was hard because, I was in school, and I had to keep the 3.5 GPA just like everybody else. So it was tough, but we grew a lot my last year in college.
How did you go out and market yourself to obtain these clients to keep it going?
Yeah, again, just the fact that we're students, we're smart, we're hardworking, the trust is there, and so that really appealed to a lot of people in Gainesville. And what ended up happening is they started asking us to do all these other things, like walk their dogs, or take their dry cleaning, or wrap their Christmas presents, or
Wow.
things that you wouldn't normally ask your maid to do. So we realized, okay, there's a need for kind of an all-in-one service that you can trust with everything, because if you think about it, trusting somebody with your home is already, you have to have a lot of trust in them. So why not be able to trust the same person with other things in your life? So we started to offer just full concierge, and that's when I saw the tremendous growth. My last year in college, we employed 75 students, and when I graduated, it was a tough choice, to decide, do I go get a job or do I stay with this idea? And I chose to stay, and the growth after that point was just astronomical.
What was the temptation to go get a job?
Well, a job obviously more secure. You're guaranteed, certain things, and this was kind of not secure and living on the edge, I guess, taking a risk. But again, I couldn't bring myself to get a job. This is something that I loved. I was so excited to wake up every morning. And I just really couldn't see myself doing anything else, so I chose to stay. And everybody thought it was nuts.
Really?
My parents at first thought I was crazy, but then they were like, okay, I think you really, let's see what happens here. But my friends were all just, they thought, what are you doing? You're a finance major. Go get an investment banking job.
So how do you ignore all of them? How do you ignore that influence? These are your near and dear close people in your life.
Yeah, I think it's because, unfortunately, the cleaning industry doesn't have a favorable reputation. So, to say I own a maid service or I clean houses, it's not something that people, respect. And so I tried to change that reputation here, and I don't think people really understood at first what I was doing. And so they thought negatively of the business. And, you know, I just try to explain to them, I'm happy, I'm so happy with what I do, and when you find a job that makes you this happy, I think you'll understand where I'm coming from.
That's cool, and that normally quiets them down?
Yeah, and well, now they're like, man, good thing you stayed.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
The doubters become the believers. That's awesome. How many hours were you putting in the very beginning when you were building this? Do you remember?
I honestly couldn't even tell you. I mean, I spent every minute of every day working or thinking about Student Maid, but to me it didn't feel like work because, again, I just loved what I was doing. So it was my choice to work on it all the time because I was excited by it. I'm in love with what I do. But easily, I mean, I'm lucky that I have very flexible professors because my last year in school was next to impossible with everything I had going on. So I focused on school a lot, but my business it took a lot of my time.
Sure. Now, you mentioned or you hinted before about finding like-minded people. Right, to bring on board. Right. And what your specific management style is, which is kind of easygoing, let's figure it out, we'll do it together as a team.
Right.
And that really doesn't allow certain people to come in that are very linear thinkers,
right,
very rigid, and, oh no, there's only one way to do it, correct?
Right.
Okay,
right.
So talk to us about why core values are so important to you.
Right. So as a team, we have voted on 10 values that are very important to us. And I'm a firm believer that if somebody has the right attitude and the right mindset, you can teach them to do anything, but it's not true for the opposite. You know, if they're the best cleaner in the world, but they don't have a positive attitude, it's hard to change attitude. So I believe in bringing in the best people and the most positive people, and then after they're in, decide on how to train them to be where we need them to be. But so these 10 values monitor that, and they're incorporated in everything that we do, from hiring and interviewing to evaluating to firing. I believe that values we're a very large company. Any given time we can have from 75 to over 300 employees, so you have to have something that can keep you together. And that's what it is for us. That's kind of the glue, I guess you could say, that keeps us together. It's the core values.
Now, do you have any examples, stories of people that just did not resonate with these values in the interviews and kind of how that went?
Yeah, I mean, we say we want it to be a good fit both ways. So if somebody's a great fit for us, we think that they'd be great, but they're not happy with the job, we don't want them here anyway, because we want them to be happy. So we spend a lot of time up front in that first interview really making sure that we think they would be a good fit both ways. And then when we decide to give them a job, we actually give them time to think about it. We don't say, okay, you start tomorrow. We say, okay, this is what the job entails, and we're going to give you, however much time it is to think about this and make sure this is a place you really want to be. And it's taken us a long time to figure out the most effective ways of determining whether they fit our values. But and we still work on it every single day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. How do you know if they're speaking the truth? Are you just using sheer intuition that, this person fits these values, they're saying it, I believe it?
Yeah.
Or do you have some kind of system in place where you can figure it out even clearer than that?
Yeah, I would say it's clearer than that. We ask a lot of questions that, we don't say, okay, do you think you stick to this value? We ask questions that will lead us to those answers. Everything, like I said, the core values are incorporated into evaluations and everything that we do. So if somebody isn't a good fit and maybe we didn't catch that at the beginning, at some point we're going to catch that.
And then what happens right there? How do you handle that?
We sit down and say, okay, your teammates, they feel that you're not falling in line with this value and this value. And if it's something we think we can work on, we do, but it might just be a situation where we say, I think it's best that we, part our ways. But we look at our employees as investments, and we want to give them an experience and a great learning experience. So if somebody isn't a good fit, we're not just going to say, okay, get out of here. We're going to tell them, this is what we've noticed, and these are the great things about, your work ethic, and these are the not so great things, because we want them to learn from this experience so that they can better themselves for the next job they get.
That's awesome. Have you ever had really tough situation where you, as the founder of the company, you really like a person, and they're just not fitting with one or two of the values, and you're getting complaints from others, but you really like them, and you want them to stay. What's that sit down like?
Yeah, that's happened from time to time, and it is hard. I'd say that's the hardest part about being a boss is, it's great, but at the same time, it's awful. But if my thing is, if somebody really wants to be here that badly, they will do whatever they have to do to stay. So I just have a sit down, and I'm very honest, and we believe in transparency, and saying this is what we think, and if you really want to stay here, let's figure out a plan to make that happen and to change these things. But let's, at the same time, if these things don't change, then what's going to happen? And so normally in those situations, the person will turn it around, or they'll just say, I don't think I can do this, and this isn't working anymore.
Okay, that's fair. I was just listening to an interview with the founder of PayPal, and he said the best line he's come up with over the years for those painful dismissals is he sits the person down and he goes, John, I'd like you to resign. And that's it. And he's like, after a few minutes, John just goes, you know what? Yeah, you're right. This really isn't working out for me either, so, okay. It's kind of this mutual just parting of the ways, which is interesting. Anyway.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of 3 different core values, like your favorites?
Well, I can't. We just redid our core values, and we keep them a secret.
Do you really?
In our company, yeah.
So these are internal. Why is that?
Because we like to create an excitement when somebody comes into the culture. It's like you just got led into something that not everybody knows about, and so it's kind of cool. It feels like exciting and like you're a part of a cool club or something. We keep it a secret.
Okay, so exclusivity.
Exclusive.
Sorry, all you entrepreneurs out there, you're not getting that today. Okay, Kristen, what was the biggest challenge for you in this business, and how did you overcome it so far?
Right. The biggest challenge for me was management because, after I graduated, I was the only non-student in Student Maid. And so the day-to-day operations took up all my time, so I couldn't really focus on the growth or the expansion, and I would actually consider I was working in the business instead of on it.
Okay.
And it's so hard to find quality people, quality managers, and so I was at a point where there was so much potential, but I felt like there was nothing I could do about it because I couldn't grow. So I had an employee who started cleaning houses with me, and she graduated. And she was offered a job with the Hilton, and I really wanted her to stay and work with us. And so, offered her this job, and it was hard because I wanted her to stay so bad, and I wanted to say, I need you to make this happen. Please see this vision I have in this dream, and luckily, she did, and so she chose a position with us and stayed. And then at the same time, I had a good friend that I went to middle school with in high school. She came to UF, she graduated, and lived in Atlanta. She was managing a bakery. Mm-hmm. And because I didn't know what the other girl was going to decide, I offered her position as well. Mm. So what ended up happening is they both accepted the position.
Okay.
And so Katie was in Atlanta, she moved down, and then Elena, the one that was cleaning with me, she stayed with us. So it was awesome. It was like I went from having 1 to 3, and I couldn't imagine now only having one of them. I mean, we probably need to hire another person because there's so much work, and we're growing every day, and it's because I have help now.
That's fantastic. So you went for what you wanted. You asked for it, and you got it. Okay.
And it's so scary. I mean, every night I'm like, please stick Student Maid, please stay, because it's sad because you can only put so much time and effort in, but if you don't have the help, then what can you really do?
Right, you're just one person out there, right?
Yep.
So when you started Student Maid, did you have a clear vision of where you were taking the company, or were you just kind of seeing where the company might take you?
I didn't really think about it at all. I mean, my vision was very short term. It was, let's clean these apartments this summer. That was it. And then slowly I thought, man, this is exciting. This is fun. now I realize it is a viable business. It can be a long-term career, and so I have a different vision now than I ever have before. But the most important thing is getting everybody to buy into that vision, and I didn't realize that up front. But it's like how would these two girls want to leave their secure jobs and come work for a startup company? It's because they see the vision and they have bought into the vision.
Very cool. Would you be willing to share that vision with us?
Sure. Well, yeah, we want Student Maid to be in every college town. I mean, that's our dream. So, Gainesville, we still have some room for growth here, and so I can't say, where or when, but when the time is right, we will be opening in another location.
Very cool. Are you looking at like franchising across the country? Or are you looking to company owned, a split?
I'm not really sure. I'm kind of torn. I've done a lot of research and talked to a lot of people about both, and still not really sure. The next one probably would be company owned.
Very cool. Yeah. They say it's kind of healthy to get at least like the first 3 to 5 company owned, so you're still maintaining the core values that you're speaking of, and then you start franchising from there. So I think very smart, young lady. And what does the next 6 to 12 months look like for Student Maid? Like, what's on the horizon for you guys?
Yeah, just growth. I mean, we just moved into a new office.
Cool.
And I feel like we've already outgrown it. We've only been here since probably July. So, it's just, we really want to grow now that we have 3 of us, because Katie and Elena just joined in April, the end of April. So it took a while to get everybody trained and up to speed, and so now we're just focusing on growing. Growing in number of clients, number of employees. We want to have a really big move-out season next summer, which is when we bring on tons of employees for that 3-week period. And then, of course, opening another location.
Okay, very cool. Now, is your business, this industry, is it very seasonal?
No. Because we do a lot of, we're a maid service, so we clean homes and offices, and so that is year-round, but the move-out season it's seasonal. It's in the summer and then in the winter.
Okay, that's what I was hearing. It was like summer's the big boom you're pushing for.
Yeah, summer is crazy.
Okay, cool. How do you deal with challenges, Kristen? How do you stay motivated, like right now?
Yeah, I guess, I have a different mindset. I really believe in positive thinking, and so I don't look at things as a challenge. I don't get discouraged. I just think, okay, it's like a puzzle. How are we going to get through this? What are we going to do to get through this? And then if something fails, I don't look at it as a failure. I just say, okay, we learned. Like, we can't do this again. Good thing we went through this to learn that we can't do it this way. So I just try to have a positive attitude, and challenges excite me because it would be boring if everything went smooth every single day. I think to me that would be very boring. So I like having that challenge and figuring out how we're going to overcome it.
Cool. And speaking of challenges, what has been I'll start it like this. This is how I frame it. As entrepreneurs, right, we all have something in our life that pushes us to our limit. Just test our resolve. How much do you really want this, right?
Right.
So what has been your most difficult thing that you've had to overcome in your entire entrepreneurial journey so far?
I think it was the management, getting the help. I mean, that was the most difficult part in deciding when is the right time, and can we afford this? I mean, there's so many, now I have 2 people that I have, this is their career. I mean, it was a huge challenge, huge, by far the biggest.
Okay. Cool. And last main question here is, where do you see, the startup community, entrepreneurship, right? I'm sure you're noticing trends happening.
Right.
Would you be willing to speak on that from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I feel Gainesville is an innovative place. I feel like it's an environment that's very friendly for entrepreneurs. So there are a lot of startup companies. There are a lot of young, entrepreneurs here. But the problem is, they're recruited and to go elsewhere. So the goal is to try to keep their hub here, and that's something that the community, Gainesville as a whole, is really trying to focus on. It's a movement called Innovation Gainesville. Personally, my dream for myself, I do a lot of speaking for young people. I travel and I speak for middle schools and high schools and colleges, not necessarily to teach people to start a business, but to show them with creative thinking what can be accomplished. Because I realize not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur, but I think there's a mindset in our generation that, you know, you get everything and it's like on a platter. And
entitlement.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to show that, you know, no, like, you know, you can innovate and be creative and you can create something for yourself or change something in your life. And so I notice as a whole, you know, outside of Gainesville, there are communities that are very innovative and then there's directly opposite that are not. So my dream is to spread that passion, I guess, that entrepreneurial passion, and teach young people to do something like that.
That's awesome. Now, when it comes to, you were part of Innovation Gainesville, correct?
Yes.
Okay, it's kind of like an incubator, accelerator type program?
Innovation Gainesville is it's a community effort to make Gainesville an innovation hub. In Gainesville, there are several incubators. So we were a part of an incubator. It's called the SEED. It's a Center for Innovation and Economic Development. Okay, so we incubated there for 8 or 9 months and then moved into our own office space.
How valuable was that experience for you from a mentorship standpoint?
Yeah.
Those types of things?
I can't even put a dollar value. I mean, it was the smartest thing we ever did because you're surrounded by other startup companies, so you're constantly motivated, you're learning from one another, learning from one another's mistakes and, you know, successes, and then on top of that, it's just a great network of mentors and people that genuinely want to help you and see your business succeed. So now that we've graduated, we're actually a very big part still. We have become the mentors for the companies that are transitioning from the incubator to their own space. So we kind of meet with them and help them figure out, okay, what do you need to be able to move out on your own and do this on your own?
So you're the local success story.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, that's fantastic. And, you know, you brought up something before about being a female entrepreneur in a space which was probably predominantly males. Mm-hmm. You know, speak to us about that for all the women entrepreneurs out there, because one thing I notice here, and correct me if you differ on it, is the tech space seems to be occupied by a lot of men. And I see, like, I go to the tech startup meetings and everything, and I see very few females there. But yet, females are brilliant, you know, equally. And it's, you know, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, you know, I was reading something recently. It said 28% of all businesses are female-owned, 100% female-owned. So definitely I'm in the minority. I've never looked at my gender as a challenge, so I don't think that being female is a challenge. I just don't see it that way. But I would agree with you that it seems to me in the tech industry it's male-dominated, and service industry a little more female-dominated. But you know, I think that, you know, like I said, I don't see the gender thing as a challenge. I think my age is a bigger challenge than the gender.
And how old are you right now?
23.
Woohoo! That's fantastic. All right, awesome. So we're going to go to the final part of our little interview here, which is kind of really fun. The audience loves this. Hopefully you enjoy it. It's called the questionnaire. It's just 10 random quick-fire questions. Okay. First thing that comes to your head, that's what you want to share. Keep your answers limited to like 15, 20 seconds. Fair enough?
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so Kristen, what is your favorite word?
Wow. We say it every day. Wow our customers, wow everybody.
Okay. Some of the audience was telling me that I say that word too often on these interviews, so that's funny. What is your least favorite word?
Hate.
Good one. What turns you on?
I'm sorry, what?
What turns you on?
I don't know. Motivated people.
Okay. What turns you off?
Negative thinking.
Good. What sound or noise do you love?
Sound. I like on the Mac computer when you turn the volume up.
It's like or something like that? Yeah. Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Nails on a chalkboard. Can't do that.
You came up with that answer very fast. What is your most prized material possession and why? My parents made me a 2-part scrapbook when I graduated of everything. They kept everything from when I was little until graduation, and it's just so special to me. It means a lot to me. That's endearing. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Motivational speaker.
Cool. Sounds like you're on your way, by the way. If you could create a lasting legacy for yourself, what would you like to be remembered for after you're gone?
Changing the lives of young people.
Awesome. And last but not least, Kristen, if heaven exists,
Yes.
what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
We've been waiting for you. We think we have some stuff you could work on up here.
So your entrepreneur journey continues in heaven? Is that, I haven't heard that one yet, so that's fantastic. Well, Kristen, it's been a true joy. I know we're both on a time schedule here, so we got to wrap this up. Thank you so much for this. Again, the audience loves these interviews because of the gold nuggets they kind of dig through and find in your story that they can apply to their own lives, or just inspiration, right? That belief that, wow, I'm not the only one going through this. Wow, Kristen went through this as well. This is huge. I can do this.
Right.
So, any last parting words?
Be an innovator and not a follower. That's my slogan.
Very fantastic. Kristen, thanks for doing the interview. We appreciate it. And rock out there, girl. We want to see Student Maid in every college city in the United States.
Yes.
Woo! Okay, thanks, Kristen.